I think when people are talking, especially if they're having a disagreement, people are, you say something and they grab onto that one thing and they're like, oh, well, I'm going to respond with this.
They hold on to that so they miss.
So whatever else you said goes, like you said, over their head because they're like, I got this. This is what I'm going to come back with. Because she said always, and it ain't always. Because that one time I did this, I got so like locked and loaded, right? Another thing is, I think that when people think that they have to communicate to be understood, that understanding equals agreement. And it's not. Those are two totally different things. I want you to understand where I'm coming from. You might not necessarily agree because it's not your experience, and that's fine. But I want you to understand that it was my perspective. This is where I'm coming from, and that's how I felt in that situation. But regardless of if you agree that made sense or not, or that that's what happened, it doesn't matter. And that's why I think that continues the cycle of the disagreement. Because if I have to agree with what you said, then we're never going to get there because I didn't see the situation in the same way. So.
This is the B-side, 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 the marriage. This is the B-side, 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 the marriage.
Hi, good people, and welcome to another episode of the B-Side of Marriage podcast. I am your host, Rashonda, and this is my husband and co-host,
Jason.
And here at the B-Side, we talk about everything related to marriage. The good, the bad, the real,
the A, and the B-side.
Y'all like that new little intro I did?
She sang talking.
That was not sing talking. Anyways, welcome. We're rusty. But
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. A lot of things going.
So, if it's your first time joining us, welcome to this madness. That is us. And if you're an OG, welcome back. We have a great episode for you guys today. But please make sure to, if you're watching us, to comment, like, subscribe, all the things on YouTube. And if you're listening to us, please be sure to do the same.
As well, follow us on Facebook at The B-Side of Marriage and on Instagram at B-Side of Marriage.
All right, so let's get into it.
All right.
With the first segment, not section.
You're rusty dusty.
I'm very rusty dusty, but that's fine. Our first segment is where we share an A or B-side moment from our week.
Mine is gonna actually be I'm gonna say it's an A side. It's an A and B, but I'm gonna stay with A. Okay. So we haven't been on a vacation in a while, so we was able to go on a little vacation. So
international.
Yes, international vacation. So it was, got to go to the beach, which I haven't been to a while. Which that was kind of let's say it was an A side moment because it was something that I used to do with my mom a lot. And my kids finally, they didn't really like going beaches in Texas. So when they went to the beach internationally, they was like, oh, this is nice. And they wanted to play in the beach. So I showed them how to bodyboard the waves. So they was coasting on the waves. So yeah, we did, we buried everybody. So it was this was A side. It was it was a good time. So what about you?
Mine would also be A-side. It's going to be the family vacation. It was just good for them to have that experience and for them to begin to collect stamps in their passports because, passports was a thing, but they came in time. Thank you, Lord. But yeah, just the whole experience was just good. It was good to... Even though when you're traveling with kids, you don't necessarily get to take a full break. But it was just easier. It was more relaxed. We were outside of our normal environment. So just being able to get away and not have to worry about cleaning or cooking was just really great. So that's my A side.
That's true. Our second segment is a P2P share. where we like. Oh no, we like where we.
But I'm resting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where we share something we're reading, listening to, or watching. So.
Okay, I'm prepared this time. Okay, so I am working my way through. It is it's a wives book club that I'm a part of, and we're working our way through Praying for Your Husband from Head to Toe, and it's by Sharon James, and it is really, really good. So I would recommend this, even if you're not like going to be a part of a book club, but it's a lot of good information, and it's something that you can read through like once, but you'll keep it on hand because it's something you will reference through periodically throughout your marriage, regardless of if you're newlyweds, engaged, or seasoned married folk.
Okay.
Check it out.
Only thing honestly that I have is I'm actually doing a Bible study, doing the whole Bible in a year. Be honest with you, I've never, not saying I never want to do it. I was always afraid because I was like, that's a lot in a year.
Yes, it is.
It's like, that's a lot. But since I've been doing it, it's interesting, like books that I've read before, just how, as I'm going through it now, I'm reading it differently. I'm picking up different things that, that is being said in, in the actual, the Bible study. So that's what I'm doing.
Okay. I do have another one.
Okay, go
or
ahead.
Or should I save it?
It's up to you.
So this is a show that we started watching.
Go ahead.
While we were on vacation. So usually what happens is, because we like to take naps. So because we take naps, we find the most random.
Randoms, yeah.
But apparently this is like a very popular show that we are just now finding.
Yeah, like 80 million seasons.
They have a lot of seasons, a lot of episodes, a lot of variations. And it's called Naked and Afraid. And it is a good time. These people are crazy.
That's the best way to say it.
I just like the premise of it is that you're naked and you're dropped off in
a random place.
A very
random place.
Yes, and depending on the variation of the show, because they have like XL, like Naked and Afraid XL, Looking for Love or Something by Love, and Solo. So anyways, they'll drop you off in the middle of this place. You have one survival tool, and you have to survive for a designated number of days.
7, 14, 21,
40.
30, 40.
Yeah, it's like crazy.
Amount of
days. You literally have to
get your own food.
You have to, it's like survival.
It's like Survivor, but it's more, to me, it's more intense.
And it's like real.
It's like real.
And like the TV producers just be in the back.
Like they just be recording everything they be doing.
People be like, I just got stung by a rattlesnake.
Yep.
Just recording. They
just sitting there recording until somebody says like, oh yeah, I'm not feeling good. Then they bring people in, but
they might bring the medic.
Unless they be like, no, I don't want to. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. Anyway, but it's a good time.
Yeah, that is
so
true.
Yeah, so check that out. You just wanna.
That is true.
Zone out for a little bit.
Yeah.
There you go. So what we're talking about?
So we got some listener questions. So we want to kind of bring some of them. So let's see where we start. Do you feel sexual chemistry is enough to maintain and sustain a marriage?
No.
Okay.
Okay. Repeat the question again, Alex.
Do you feel sexual chemistry is enough to maintain / sustain a marriage?
It's not enough on its own, no.
Okay.
Because, sex is just a physical component. It's a component of many.
Okay.
To have a sustainable, healthy marriage, you need more than just sex.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So
that's what I'll say. My answer is no.
It's just, okay.
You need more than just sex. I'm not minimizing that sex is not important. I'm saying it's not enough though to just, because why do we get married if that's just all we want to do is have sex?
Okay. No, I'm just, that's okay. These are just questions. and like they'd just be like yes and no for you.
Well, no, I'm just saying no, it's not enough.
Okay.
I don't know how to elaborate more on that. So, what's your answer?
Again, yeah, I don't believe, like you said, I don't believe sexual chem. See, I guess let me look at this. Sexual chemistry is not enough to maintain, but you need to have, I guess you need to build that sexual chemistry with one another. So again, I'm still saying no, but it's like you need to continue to build that sexual chemistry with your spouse once you get married. It's, because there are people who don't have sex before they get married. So it's something that you have to build, because that's the intimacy that you're building with that person. So yes, you need other things than just sex. So yeah, I agree with that.
Okay.
So
on to the next.
Okay.
So I have the answer.
Oh Lord. Okay, here we go. So how do you reignite the flame in your marriage?
Get naked. Good answer. Wait, Family Feud. Good answer. That was a good answer.
We're not playing Family Feud.
But no, on all seriousness, that will help.
You just talked about a show, Naked and Afraid.
Yes.
They ain't do nothing, and they be naked. So
they didn't show it.
Okay, but anyway,
sometimes I'm sure they do.
All right, but go ahead.
But also too, they had like wild animals like coming from them. So, anyways,
okay.
I digress. How do you rekindle? Mm-hmm. All right, so that means that it was there, right? So that means that there was something there in this is a relationship or marriage?
Marriage.
Okay, in your marriage. So you had to have an initial spark. Mm-hmm. So for me, I would say go back to basics.
Okay.
Go back to dating. Okay. Go back to being spontaneous. Okay. Go back to consistency, like speaking their love language. Okay. Like if their love language is acts of service, knock that out the ballpark consistently. Because what happens is, especially, and then if you're changing your demeanor in the household, like around the part your spouse, that also will change. It will influence your spouse to also be like, well, why is she acting like that? Or whatever. So I just think you just gotta do it and get naked.
Oh Lord, okay. So all right, so for me, I kind of thought about this after we got the question of the whole show naked and no, but listen to what I'm saying. Okay. See, because in the show, the one we was watching, it was in the Montana winter or whatever like that, and it made me think about the flame. Like, what do they have to do to keep the flame going?
They have to keep feeding it. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, they had to keep giving it fuel. They had to make sure it had oxygen, so they, sometimes it caused them having to breathe on it. And then even just to get the spark going, they had to put some work in it.
Friction.
Not nasty. You nasty.
No.
But yeah, no. So, nasty. But I'm saying that's I guess that's what made me think about, like, if you're wanting to rekindle that flame, ignite that fire in your marriage, you need to do those things. That fuel that excitement, that that breathes onto your spouse, as well as just what else I said, fuel, I said breathe, and then again putting in the work to do, and it's not.
It was work.
Yeah, it was putting in work, because again, like I said, when they're making the heat or trying to get it to spark, they're not just sitting there just watching, like hoping it's going to start. Like they had to do something, and then they had to like breathe on it. A lot of times you see them blown, and just to get the flame to ignite, and then they're feeding the fire constantly to keep it going. So I feel that's the same thing you should do.
Agreed.
When you're needing to ignite, you need to like you said, go back to basics, but at the same time is to take those different points that kind of I just said is, using the heat, fueling the fire, and why did you go out my head?
I don't know. You said oxygen.
Yeah, breathing onto it. There you go. Oxygen, breathing, because it needs oxygen, fire. So those are the three things.
I mean, I agree. And to even keep that analogy going, there was one, like there's always one person who's actually watching it too. Well, in most cases, like that would be the ideal situation. One person would stay and make sure that the fire kept going, while the other people, if it was a team of 3 or whatever, would go and like either help bring stuff to to solidify the shelter, or hunt or whatever. That one person who's watching it though is watching that flame.
Yeah.
So when the flame starts going low, they're like, oh, I can't just sit here anymore. I gotta do whatever I need to do. Or that person would be intuitive to be like, oh, what can I do to make our fire last longer or provide more heat in this shelter? So then it's like, oh, we can bring rocks in or whatever. So it's like always basically I've said all that to say your fire has to be, you have to constantly keep an eye on it. You got to constantly check in. Like, okay, we good? Not good. We need a little bit more heat. Like we need a little more heat.
Yeah.
What do I need to do in order to create that heat?
Yeah.
Are we too hot? Gotta come down a little bit. Okay, we gotta get,
Yeah.
So, but there's always you need to make sure that you're doing those check-ins to know exactly where that flame exists within your relationship, so that you'll know what you need to do going forward.
Okay. No, that's
so that you don't let it go out, because it's harder. It's harder to start a fire than it is to maintain one.
Correct.
So.
And that kind of goes with the whole act of being selfless. Like you have to be able to recognize and see those things. Like, okay, in your spouse, like, okay, the fire's not lit. Like you need to be able to see those things, see the different changes, how your spouse is moving. You need to be able to see all those things so you can acknowledge and know, okay, I need to start feeding this fire. I need to start, because if it goes out, okay, you literally starting from scratch to start it all over. So,
and you got to be able to acknowledge when you got to change it up. Like if you the check-ins they ensure that you guys are in sync. So what used to work may not work. Like what worked last month may not work this month.
No, that's true.
So, but you would know that because you've been checking in. I'd be like, I really did appreciate when you did that last month, but this month I don't need you to do that. I need you to actually do this.
Okay. That's good.
Or because I know a lot of people get. We've had people complain about, oh, well, we do date night, but all we do is eat. Well, if that's not.
Go to a movie. It's like.
Or whatever. We do the same thing over and over again. So it's not enough that, we do date nights if they're not fulfilling. So if the complaint is, oh, all we do is go out and eat or go to the movies, then you have to
do something different.
Yeah. Check out our Flashback Fridays post every Friday. We give you a new date night idea.
Yeah. All right. Anything else? Anything else on that?
No, that's it.
So, and then we had another question.
Yes. What was that?
It was, and I think we might have talked about this once before, but
okay.
How do you bring up the conversation with your spouse about being present in your marriage?
Oh yeah, we've dealt with this often. How do you bring it up? Ooh. You can't be heated. So it has to be in a moment where you're not upset. The person who you feel, yes. So let's just take us. There was often the case where, even now, at moments where not present is being on the phone. That's our main thing.
Yeah.
Is either on the phone or on the iPad. And so if I am upset with you about it, I can't bring it up in that moment.
Okay.
Because it's not gonna go. I'm probably gonna come in too hot.
Okay.
So the person who wants to bring it up has to have has to be in the right frame of mind to be able to have a conversation, to be understood instead of just heard. Mm-hmm. Also, too, you want to make sure that it's good for the person who's also like not present or is being not present.
Disconnected.
Like make sure that they're in the right frame. So for us, I would be like, hey, babe, I want to talk to you about something. Is now a good time? If you say yes, then I would like, okay. So I just feel like here lately, you've just kind of been disconnected. I feel like, I wouldn't say that. I would say I feel like, well, I was trying to use the same word you was, but I was like, this is supposed to be a realistic example. So I'm going to say that. Okay. I feel like you spend a lot of time on your phone.
Okay. Yeah, you do. That's how you say it.
And then I go, and I feel like you're kind of separate, or you're isolating. I will say this. I say you're isolating yourself away from us.
Okay.
So then I would ask, what's up? Like, what's going on in your head?
Yeah.
Because I know, because of our relationship, like how long we've been together, if you're spending a lot of time on your phone, it's because either one, like there could be a plethora of reasons, but more often than not, it's because you have something on your mind. Mm-hmm. And because you have something on your mind, you're playing games to distract yourself from whatever is on your mind.
No, you're right. You're right.
So that's why I wouldn't bring it up when I'm heated, because I could take that personally, but I know it's not a personal thing.
Okay.
So that's what I would say.
So I guess to even kind of go more on what you just say, for individuals who I guess are newly married, how do you navigate that? Because you came at it more of, because our relationship, you know, over the years, you now understand that when I'm in my head, when I'm thinking about something, I play games just so so it's not so much I don't think about it, so it kind of, what's the word? It helps me clear my head, so I can actually really, really articulate what I'm thinking. Mm-hmm. So, but for individuals who are newly married, how can that help them rather than just, people who've known each other for a while?
I would use I statements. So now that, we're having the conversation, I would say, I feel lonely, or I feel ignored, or whatever that feeling is. Okay. I'm like, let's go with ignored. I feel ignored when you're on your phone all the time.
Okay. Okay, no.
And then you would say whatever you're going to say, and then we'll have the conversation that way. But I will speak from the perspective of, this is how I'm feeling. You might not be intending to be giving off that kind of vibe. This is how I feel.
Gotcha. Okay.
Like, I'm feeling ignored because you're always on your phone. I would rather us be talking, or I'd rather us be watching TV, or whatever the case may be. And then go from there to have the conversation. But I think I statements, because what it does, it doesn't make the other person defensive. Because if you come in like, you always on your phone. Well, I'm not always on my phone. And then that's just going to create a back and forth. Yeah. Instead of saying, hey, I'm feeling as though you're ignoring me, or I feel disconnected because you're on your phone all the time. It seems like you're always on your phone, so I'm feeling disconnected. Okay. Or I don't feel like we're gelling. Like, what's up? That's what we do.
Okay. No, that's good. I just wanted to kind of like take it from a perspective of not just like you said, knowing somebody for a long time, but for somebody who's fresh, that doesn't know how to articulate, that in that way. Yeah. Being able to be like, okay, instead of just, I don't say popping off in the mouth, but.
Well, yeah.
Like, instead of just doing that, being able to, articulate what they want, what they're trying to get across, so that their spouse can hear what they're saying. Because again, with, social media and everything, people always, they're on their phones scrolling. you know.
But I don't think, honestly, I think social media is an issue a lot. I don't think, because everything is on a phone, everything has an app, you can legit be on your phone doing other stuff that's not social media related.
Correct. Yeah.
Because everything's on our phone.
Correct.
So it's so easy to spend time or to even grab your phone and be doing something and not realizing you've had your phone in your hand longer than you were planning on it.
No, that's correct. Yeah, I can believe that.
Because for me, I technically don't have my phone in my hand. But if I have my AirPods in, it's like I have my phone in my hand because I'm probably listening to a podcast or I'm probably listening to an audiobook.
No, that's facts. Yeah.
So that's still technically being on the phone.
That's true.
And so that's why I said I don't want, this is like, first of all, before even bringing it up, I want to say that this is normal because we are all, because of the way our lives now navigate around our devices.
Correct.
So don't take it personal. If you feel as though your spouse is spending more time with their device, have the conversation to understand what it is that they're doing so then you can create the necessary boundaries around it. Especially now because with people working from home, a lot more people are working from home or have a hybrid situation.
Yeah.
It's harder to detach from electronic because I want to take a break, but I'm gonna bring my work phone. Unless so there's
no, that makes
it's
sense.
a thing. So you just have to not take it personal. Just try to go into the conversation trying to understand what's going on. Is it because something else is on their mind and they're trying to take a break? Is it because as now that I'm doing my clinical hours, I purposely get on my phone in between clients to do mindless scrolling so that I can be ready for my next client. So it's just that's not normal for me, but that's something anyway. So we've just worked out. So, and then at the end of the night, usually it's he already knows I want to debrief about my frustrations or whatever happened.
Yeah.
And so he knows that he's not going to have his device. Yeah. He's not going to have his phone because, Shonda's done. She's going to come in here with her drama.
Yeah.
Because I can't share my drama with him, so I got to share it with him. So, yeah. So I just think go in it's really hard because we always think that it's always about us. And it could truly have nothing to do with you. And I know we've said that several times in previous podcasts. Just go in, just to have the conversation to be understood and not, like I said, not necessarily about being heard. Because someone could listen, but you want to be understood. What are you thinking?
No, just kind of the last part you talking about listening and being understood, and that's I guess it's just so kind of it made me just think about the show I told you about, the couples retreat, where they have celebrities and stuff like that, and that's a lot of what they're trying to accomplish at the couples retreat. Even though they're celebrities, these are the things that they're trying to.
Or be understood.
Be understood and be heard. And a lot of times it just seems like, when when they first started, or even into the mid in the season, they're talking to their spouses and it just goes over in their head like this. And it's because that one spouse is stuck on one thing and thinking about one thing and is missing everything else that is going on, that is, that they're trying to learn at this retreat because they're all focused on that one thing. So. Well,
and I agree, because I think when people are talking, especially if they're having a disagreement, people are you say something and they grab onto that one thing and they're like, oh, well, I'm going to respond with this.
They hold on to that so they miss.
So whatever else you said goes, like you said, over their head because they're like, I got this. This is what I'm going to come back with. Because she said always, and it ain't always. Because that one time I did this, I got like locked and loaded, right? Another thing is, I think that when people think that they have to communicate to be understood, that understanding equals agreement. And it's not. Those are two totally different things. I want you to understand where I'm coming from. You might not necessarily agree because it's not your experience, and that's fine. But I want you to understand that it was my perspective. This is where I'm coming from, and that's how I felt in that situation. But regardless of if you agree that made sense or not, or that's what happened, it doesn't matter. And that's why I think that continues the cycle of the disagreement, because if I have to agree with what you said, then we're never going to get there because I didn't see the situation in the same way.
No, that's good. So yeah, those are kind of all the questions that we had.
Okay.
You got anything else you think off the top of your head? No?
I don't know. No.
Yeah, so
I'm going to say no because I don't know.
So again, we just kind of wanted to come today and kind of share some questions that we had. There's no marriage advance tip because for me,
the whole episode is some.
Yeah, it's just and again, these are. I don't say these are our opinions, but it's just what we've gone through and how we navigated things. So some of the stuff may or may not you may not agree with. But these are just the experiences that we've had, that we've learned in our marriage, and
through our coaching.
And even all the marriage ministries we've been part of. So
yeah, I agree. Not all of it may be applicable to you. Take what is applicable. It's great and apply it. What is not, share it. Because just because you're not dealing with it doesn't mean the person that you know, your family that you know, could potentially use it as well. If you are struggling with communication, because there's really all them kind of sex communication. Check us out. We're marriage coaches. Hit us up. Link is in the bio.
Yep. And
that's all I got.
All right. Well, as always, follow, share this on YouTube, on all the podcasting platforms, as well as on Instagram and Facebook. And then until next week.
All right, because the real work begins after you say I do.
Peace.